What up? This is an update on the Beira's Ignite Infernalist after the 0.2.0 G patch. Sadly, it's been nerfed, and even though the build is still amazing as an endgame mapper, tier 4 pinnacle bossing is not very viable anymore. Anything higher than tier 2 is a bit painful. Map bosses are still fine if you're okay with a 20-second fight. I'll keep it short, but I'll explain what has happened and current state of builds using this unique charm to scale damage. The nerf was that Beira's unique charm now does not automatically crit anymore if there was any source of crit, like the one from the Malice aura on a scepter. However, now the charm instead has 0% base crit. So even with the Malice aura, it's very hard to scale crit rate and damage anymore, because the crit rate can never get high enough to be worth the investment. I think now we focus our scaling much more on life, ignite and curse modifiers. The damage nerf is only noticeable on tanky rares and bosses, but in those cases our damage is about 75% less. I will repeat, this build is still great for what it does, but how this got nerfed but not lightning spear is beyond me. Overall, for endgame juiced maps, this build now lacks the damage that made up for the low defenses for me, even with max block. I've tested multiple versions after patch to see what works. I'll explain them briefly and point out which one worked best for me, and which ones were a bust. All POBs are in the description if you want to have a look at them. Now first things first, two upgrades that are included in all the versions are a Scyther Spear in a second weapon set to aggravate the ignite, and a unique Oasis from Nothing jewel, which allows us to pick a bunch of valuable ignite scaling modifiers near the ranger area. So version 1 is the crit chance version. So basically this is a small adaptation from the original build. We're just going to build more crit chance to benefit from the Malice aura to hopefully stack enough crit chance to get lucky with a crit on bosses. For mapping this is still totally fine, you do plenty of damage to one-shot everything, but we're taking some more crit chance nodes like here and there. Then we'll take these two crit chance nodes. Then we'll take in this cluster instead of the original crit damage cluster here. And then what we're doing else, we're going here and we're taking these crit damage nodes, we're specking out of them and we're going in this direction for a bit more crit chance. You know, the point is just to make bossing a little bit quicker. It's definitely not as fast as it was. I personally don't mind this version, it's pretty good. However, the question is how much crit chance can you actually get once you stack it all up together in like high-end fights, because unfortunately the duration of our ignite is not very long. It's halved by the Black Flame Amethyst Ring. And so, you know, you gotta keep refreshing that ignite. Hopefully you're lucky with total incineration. But I find it's pretty tricky to keep a crit ignite up. Alright, the second version I tried was the full fire version. So we're not equipping the Black Flame Ring anymore. So we get a longer ignite. And we're just stacking fire penetration basically and fire exposure. So you're not taking this area completely, you're skipping the chaos nodes and the withered nodes, and you're taking a couple of extra points here for fire penetration and exposure effect. Then we're going to go here for more exposure effect. We're stacking some more penetration here. And yeah, we pick up a little bit of damage here and there, and we're also equipping a shield. Now this version for me was not great because inherently the bosses have a lot of fire resistance, so obviously you need to stack some penetration, but also I tried to spec out of the max life nodes in my ascendancy here, and I took the loyal hellhound for him to fire exposure automatically on mobs, but even during mapping I found that this thing died instantly all the time. Even with defensive support gems, it just was not great, and that was pretty disappointing. There might be a niche here, but it didn't work really well for me. Third version I tried was the max block version. So obviously we're losing damage, so let's build some tankiness. We're skipping this crit damage area. We're not going crit at all anymore because the chance of critting is very low anyway. We're going to go in this area because we're going to use a big fat shield. And we're going to take this node, one increased damage per 1% block. So if we get max block, we get 75% increased damage. A couple of shield nodes to get enough block chance, and then we're just picking up a bit more damage on this area, right? So we're taking lasting trauma, We're taking these nodes and bending for a bit more life. We're stacking some more strength here. And obviously, what I forget to mention with the other builds, we're using the From Nothing Jewel. And then we can take these points. Dealing damage faster is basically just a 12% more damage increase, as long as the Ignite can kill the monsters. These are all good nodes, but just a little bit far, so we're taking advantage of them with the From Nothing Diamond Jewel. Right, and now the fourth version that I like the most. Basically, we're scaling Curse Magnitude, and we're casting Despair by ourselves. I'm just flashing my second weapon set right now here. And basically, we're scaling the Curse Magnitude and area effects here, and also duration. So we're taking all of these nodes, and we're taking a little bit more skill effect here. And that gives you a big 25 to 30 second Despair with a higher magnitude, and we're just casting that manually. We're taking a lot of the same nodes. We're taking the block nodes here, and we're taking more damage nodes here, as well as these ones in the area of Oasis. I personally like this build a lot for mapping, and this is probably the one I'm going to keep for now until I see a better solution. For bossing, it's okay, I would say. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds per boss. We're not going to get any crits. Yeah, I'm still doubtful if this is like the best version, but for me, for now, it works. Let's have a quick look at item and build upgrades that can be made. Alpha's Hall and Grand Spectrum Ruby are still amazing if you can afford them. Screenware Clear is not something to complain about. Other items that are great are the Sacred Flame Scepter, perhaps in combination with a wand, or the Chernobog Shield with a wand or scepter. So yeah, that's it. I'll show some more mapping footage of the build that I now play, which is Max Block with Curse Magnitude. I still use it for some cozy mapping, but I'm also leveling a ranger and will probably make some fun builds with bows and crossbows. That's it for me for now. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And if you want to see follow-ups to these or other build guides and PoE content, then subscribe to the channel.